The greatest tragedy of the human condition is not that men are deceived, but that they willingly participate in their own deception. Manipulation is not the art of forcing you into chains. It is the art of making you polish the chains yourself and wear them proudly. The moment you forget that every man, every woman, every institution is driven by interest, you become their prey. People will appeal to your kindness, to your morality, to your desire for approval. They will disguise their self-interest as virtue and dress their greed in the language of friendship. And if you are naive enough to believe that the world rewards sincerity, you will not merely be manipulated, you will be destroyed by those who understood the game better than you. To never be manipulated again, you must first abandon the belief that others see the world as you do. Not everyone shares your honesty, your loyalty, or your sense of justice. The wolf does not become less of a wolf because you speak kindly to it. The lion is not humbled because the deer offers itself willingly. The only safety lies in the recognition that the hearts of men are ruled by ambition, fear, and desire. If you ignore this, you will forever be food for those who do not ignore it. The wise do not reject trust entirely. They measure it like a precious metal weighed, tested, and never given without reason. They understand that flattery is a blade concealed in silk, and promises are often ropes to bind the gullible. They watch not what a man says, but what he does, for actions strip away the mask that words can so easily create. To survive in a world ruled by hidden motives, you must learn to read the unspoken, the hesitation in a voice, the delay in an answer, the shift in a gaze. It is in these cracks that truth escapes. But self-protection is not merely defense, it is offense. The unmanipulable man shapes his own image, controls his own narrative, and hides the depth of his intentions. He learns the art of silence, for what is unknown cannot be used against him. He lets others believe they have the advantage, while he slowly guides the board to his own victory. For in the game of influence, perception is more powerful than truth, and the one who controls perception controls reality itself. Understand that most manipulation is effective because it exploits emotion. Anger, pride, pity, and even love can be levers in the hands of the skilled manipulator. Therefore, your emotions must become your subjects, not your rulers. Let no insult draw you into reckless retaliation. Let no praise lull you into complacency, and let no appeal to your compassion blind you to the cost of your choice. Master yourself, and others will find nothing to master. Finally, to never be manipulated again, you must accept the burden of being misunderstood. There will be those who call you cold, arrogant, even heartless, because they cannot move you as they move others. Let them speak. The judgment of those who seek to control you is the highest proof of your freedom. It is better to be feared for your independence than pitied for your weakness. Remember this in the courts of kings and in the streets of common men. Those who cannot be manipulated are rare. And it is the rare man, not the common one, who holds power. The first and most important step in becoming immune to manipulation is to understand that every individual, no matter how virtuous they appear, is guided by self-interest. This is not cynicism, it is the clear-eyed recognition of human nature. From the poorest beggar to the mightiest ruler, every man's actions are anchored in the advancement, protection, or gratification of his own position. Even acts that appear purely charitable or selfless are rarely free of the desire for some reward, whether it be power, influence, reputation, or the quiet satisfaction of moral superiority. You must strip away the comforting illusion that others will treat you as you would treat them, for this false belief is the most fertile soil for manipulation. Consider how the manipulator operates. He does not attack you openly, for that would awaken your defenses. Instead, he approaches through the language of shared values and common goals. He tells you what you want to hear. He speaks in a tone that makes you feel understood, important, perhaps even loved. But beneath this pleasant surface, his true aim is not your well-being, it is the extraction of something you possess, your resources, your loyalty, your influence, your compliance. This is the root of all manipulation, the hidden alignment of your behavior to his benefit without your awareness. It is not enough to simply be aware that self-interest exists. You must learn to see it in real time. Listen not only to the words being spoken, but to the timing of those words, to the context in which they are delivered, to the outcome they quietly point toward. Ask yourself, if I agree to this, who gains the most? If I refuse, who suffers? If I step aside, who steps forward? These are the questions that strip away the mask of sincerity and reveal the underlying motive. Do not think that this truth applies only to strangers or enemies. It is as present in friends, family, lovers, and allies as it is in rivals. The mistake of the naive is to divide the world into safe and dangerous people, believing that loyalty automatically erases self-interest. But loyalty does not remove ambition, and affection does not kill desire. Even those closest to you can, and often will, influence your decisions to serve their own ends, sometimes consciously, sometimes without even realizing it themselves. When you truly grasp that self-interest is the constant compass of human behavior, you begin to look at the world differently. You stop being shocked by betrayal, you stop being seduced by flattery, and you stop mistaking kindness for pure intention. You begin to see that trust is not given as a gift, but earned as the result of consistent alignment between words and actions over time. And most importantly, you stop surrendering your judgment to the warm glow of approval, for you understand that even approval can be a leash. Recognizing self-interest does not mean rejecting every offer, doubting every compliment, or living in paranoia. It means standing at the center of every exchange and seeing the invisible currents that push it forward. Once you can see those currents, you cannot be swept away by them, and in that moment, you take your first step toward becoming unmanipulable. To never be manipulated, you must abandon the dangerous comfort of blind trust. Most people give trust as if it were an act of virtue in itself, believing that openness is a sign of strength and that suspicion is a flaw of character. But in reality, trust given too freely is nothing but an invitation for the cunning to step inside your defenses without resistance. It is like leaving your gates unguarded, convinced that the world is too noble to attack you, while those who covet what is yours study your every weakness. The wise man does not reject trust entirely, for to live without it is to live in isolation, but he treats it as a weapon to be drawn carefully and with precision. He knows that to trust is to risk, and risk must always be calculated. The mistake of the naive is to assume that another person's honesty mirrors their own, that because they would not betray, others will not betray them. This is the first illusion a manipulator exploits. He relies on the fact that you will project your own virtues onto him, that you will believe his promises because you cannot imagine yourself lying in the same way. This blindness is his greatest advantage. The cure is to test before you trust. Allow people to prove themselves not with grand speeches or elaborate gestures, but with consistency over time. Anyone can be generous in moments of abundance or kind when it costs them nothing, but the true measure of character is revealed in situations of strain, temptation, or loss. Watch how they act when their own benefit is at stake. Notice how their tone shifts when they think they no longer need you. Observe how their loyalty holds or collapses when tested by opportunity. You will find that the majority fail these tests, not because they are monstrous, but because self-interest outweighs virtue more often than not. The man who gives his trust without testing invites disappointment and breeds his own destruction. In the courts of power and the marketplaces of common life, those who guard their trust are respected, while those who scatter it like seeds in the wind are used, drained, and discarded. Do not confuse charm for reliability or shared laughter for shared values. People reveal themselves not in their introductions, but in the long shadow of their repeated actions. Let others work to earn your trust, and even then, keep a reserve of doubt in your heart, not out of bitterness but out of wisdom. For when you give trust too easily, you hand another person the keys to your decisions, and from that moment, your fate is no longer your own. Most people believe what they hear because words are quick, convenient, and flattering to the ear. But the one who wishes to never be manipulated must understand that words are the cheapest currency in existence, easily spent and endlessly forged. Promises can be made without cost, declarations of loyalty can be uttered without proof, and confessions of morality can be spoken by those who have no intention of living by them. The skilled manipulator knows this well. He dresses his intentions in elegant language, using the right tone, the right pauses, and the right emotional triggers to convince you of what he wants you to believe. He does not need to act in accordance with his claims, because he understands that most people will never look beyond the surface. To escape this trap, you must train yourself to ignore the music of words and instead watch the movements behind them. Actions are the ink with which true character is written, and they are far more difficult to falsify. A man may swear loyalty to you while quietly aligning himself with your enemies. He may preach sacrifice while hoarding every advantage for himself. He may claim to fight for justice while ensuring that justice always bends in his favor. If you listen only to what is said, you will live in a world of illusions, a theater where every performance is staged to shape your perception. But when you study what is done, the decisions taken when no one is watching, the sacrifices made when there is no applause, you begin to see through the disguises. The truth about a person is rarely revealed in their moments of comfort. It is revealed when their interests are threatened, when their advantage is at stake, when the cost of honesty becomes heavy. Therefore, make a habit of aligning words against deeds. If they match, you may grant provisional trust. If they diverge, let the actions speak louder than any excuse offered. And remember this, many will tell you exactly what you wish to hear, not because it is true, but because it is the shortest path to your compliance. The wise do not take a man at his word. They let time strip away the mask until only reality remains. For it is better to endure the discomfort of truth than to live in the warmth of a well-crafted lie. Power does not belong to the one who speaks the most, but to the one who controls what is known about him. The moment you reveal everything about your intentions, your fears, your ambitions, you place your destiny into the hands of those who now understand how to move you. Manipulators thrive on information. Every confession, every casual remark, every unguarded moment becomes a tool they can use to shape your choices. The wise man learns early that silence is not emptiness, it is armor. By withholding your full mind, you deny others the ability to predict your actions or to influence them with precision. Control of your image begins with discipline over your tongue. Let people see what you choose for them to see, and never all at once. Give glimpses, not the full picture, so that they must guess, and in guessing, they lose certainty. The unmanipulable man understands that perception can be more decisive than truth. If others believe you are stronger than you are, they will act with caution. If they believe you are less invested than you truly are, they will underestimate you, leaving you room to move. This control over what is visible and what is hidden allows you to direct the flow of events without appearing to do so. Your silence should never be mere absence of speech. It should be the strategic withholding of what is most valuable. Speak when words will strengthen your position. Remain silent when they will expose your vulnerabilities. Even in conversation, offer more questions than answers, for the one asking controls the direction, while the one answering is compelled to reveal. Remember that a manipulator's greatest frustration is uncertainty. When he cannot define you, he cannot design a trap that fits you. And when you shape your image deliberately, you set the terms of every engagement. Appear calm when you are calculating, appear distracted when you are watching, appear compliant when you are preparing to act. In this way, you dictate the battlefield without ever announcing that a battle is underway. To control what is known about you is to hold the strings of your own fate. and once you hold those strings, no hand can pull them from you. The easiest way to control a man is not to chain his body, but to stir his emotions until they move him where you wish. Anger makes him reckless, pride makes him blind, pity makes him surrender, and love makes him obedient. The manipulator knows this, and so he plays not on reason, but on the heart. He provokes outrage to push you into action without thought, flatters your vanity to make you deaf to warning, tugs at your compassion to drain your resources, and ignites desire so that you abandon caution. If you wish to be beyond his reach, you must place your emotions under your rule as a king rules his realm, with absolute authority. This does not mean you must kill all feeling, for without emotion a man becomes mechanical and cold, unable to inspire or connect. It means you must master the space between impulse and action, so that no matter what is said or done, you remain the one who decides your next step. When insulted, do not rush to retaliate. Let your opponent believe you are unaffected, for nothing robs an attacker of satisfaction more than indifference. When praised, accept it without intoxication, for flattery is a wine that clouds judgment. When someone appeals to your pity, measure the cost before you act, for not every cry for help is born from innocence. And when desire burns within you, whether for a person, a prize, or a victory, ask yourself if it blinds you to the traps laid in your path. This self-rule is the greatest shield you can possess, because a man who cannot be provoked, seduced, or guilted cannot be steered by another's hand. Others may shout, tempt, or plead, but they will find no lever to pull, no string to cut, no wound to press. And when your enemies realize that your emotions serve you rather than betray you, they will see the futility of their efforts, for you will have become a fortress without an open gate. Perception is the currency of power, and the one who shapes it holds the advantage long before a single move is made. In the game of influence, it is often not the truth that matters most, but what others believe to be true. The manipulator understands this instinctively. He crafts appearances that serve his aims, presenting himself as stronger, wiser, more righteous, or more helpless than reality allows, depending on which mask will move you. If you wish to be immune to his designs, you must not only resist the illusions of others, but learn to create your own. This is not deceit for its own sake. It is the deliberate management of how you are seen so that the field of play tilts toward your advantage. Allow others to underestimate you when it serves your strategy, for the underestimated are rarely guarded against. At other times, project strength and certainty so convincingly that even those who doubt you feel compelled to act in your favor. Control what is visible, and you control how others prepare for you. Control how they prepare, and you control how they can be defeated. This is why you must never allow your image to form by accident. It must be built with intention. Every word you speak, every action you take, every silence you maintain should be chosen with the awareness that it will shape the story others tell about you. And once that story takes root, it will influence how they approach you, how they trust you, how they fear you, and how they obey you. Understand this well. Reality bends not to the strongest, but to the most convincingly portrayed. The man who shapes perception bends the will of others without having to lift a sword. To be free from manipulation, you must accept that your independence will not be celebrated by all. Many will find comfort only in those they can influence, and when they see you cannot be bent to their will, they will label you cold, arrogant, or unfeeling. This is the tax the world imposes on self-possession. The weak seek warmth in approval, and so they obey the unspoken rules of pleasing others, fearing exile from the circle. But the one who refuses to be swayed must be willing to stand outside that circle, untouched by its opinions. Understand that being misunderstood is not a failure, it is a shield. Those who cannot read your intentions cannot shape them. Those who misjudge your nature will prepare for the wrong battle, and in that error you will find your advantage. Let their accusations pass through you as wind passes a stone. If they call you ruthless, it is because you denied them control. If they call you heartless, it is because you did not let pity be your leash. If they call you distant, it is because they could not draw you into their web. Do not seek to correct these perceptions, for in doing so you would reveal that their approval matters to you. Instead, accept the solitude that comes with strength, for it is in this solitude that your mind remains your own. When you no longer need to be understood, you are free to act without permission, without fear, without the invisible chains of social expectation. The manipulator's greatest weapon is your need for acceptance. Take that from him, and he is powerless.